What's up everyone, it's Endymion, and Netflix is currently hurting bad with The Witcher Season 3 not going the way they wanted it to. While the series saw a huge debut likely because people were curious to give the season a shot, as it went on things have gotten from bad to borderline catastrophic. I'll also be covering other various aspects and problems Netflix is hurting from within this video. Anyway, let's get started. To start, I want to look at an article from Fandom Wire which reports that Witcher Season 3 Part 1 has lost a ton of steam since release, with the third season losing over 600,000 viewers compared to previous seasons. Comparing it to the Season 2 premiere, Season 3 had a 15% dip in viewership right out of the gate, with the season opener getting around 1.1 million viewers in its release window. But as the season went on, viewership per episode went from around 1 million to less than 500,000. That means less than half of the people who watched the opener of Witcher Season 3 didn't even stick around till the end, which is terrible considering how much money and time it takes to make the damn thing to begin with. To compare, Season 1's premiere still stands as one of the most popular debuts for a series in Netflix history. That first season, while it had its issues, was a massive success for the network. So to see it be reduced to this is, well, it's bad. There's no way to spin it. And while sites like The Wrap are trying to spin Witcher Season 3 as a success since it did outperform Amazon's Jack Ryan for the top spot, it still hasn't made the splash Netflix would have wanted. And usually when shows underperform, we see websites try to control the narrative to make things seem better than they are. But with Season 3, it seems like nobody is holding back, not even Screen Rant, with Screen Rant claiming things like a summer release as well as splitting the season in parts to be some of the worst decisions Netflix could have done for The Witcher, since both Season 1 and 2 were released in December, which is usually where studios release their premiere content. So the fact this was thrown out mid-summer like this, yeah, it seems like even Netflix doesn't have faith in it. And when it comes to Netflix, they're notoriously known for canceling series well before they've even had time to shine. It's gotten to a point where audiences have become jaded and skeptical of new Netflix series. Cause why invest if they're just gonna cancel it like they do everything else? Forbes published an article about the upcoming Netflix version of the Chronicles of Narnia. And instead of being excited, they're echoing what audiences feel, which is, why should people trust Netflix to get Narnia right after how badly Witcher's been treated? After all, whenever Netflix does do something by the source material like Lockwood & Co. or I Am Not Okay With This, they're cancelled within their release window, which just kills any forward momentum. And when it comes to things like Narnia, for example, you only need to look at its influences to know Netflix is going to ruin it, dude. Narnia is heavily influenced by Christian faith to the point that you could say the entire story is an allegory for Jesus Christ and all the bells and whistles that come with Christianity. And Netflix is a woke-ass company to the point that they race swap characters all the time. They even did it to Triss Merigold and Yennefer, because they wanted Witcher to reflect the real world instead of being faithful to the source material. There's no reality or situation where Narnia is not going to be butchered and torn apart by Netflix and its woke writers. They were literally handed a golden ticket with The Witcher. All they had to do was adapt the books to screen and everything would be peachy. But instead, characters that never existed are added, and they've driven away Henry Cavill due to their moronic business practices. But none of this surprises me, since fans have also pointed out that many of the sorceresses of Aretuza are not drop-dead gorgeous in Netflix's version. This isn't even me or fans being creepy or weird about it. The sorceresses in the books are literally gorgeous because they use magic to change how they look. Just look at Yennefer from where she started to now. Magic, my friends, it does wonders. It's done this way because the sorceresses use their ageless beauty to manipulate kings and alter the politics of the continent by using physical attraction. Don't get mad at me, alright? Blame Andrzej Sapkowski for that. He wrote The Witcher to begin with. Then of course there's Jaskier, who I didn't cover in my previous video on Season 3. But this time around, Netflix decided to take the iconic womanizer himself and turn him into a bisexual bard instead. Why this doesn't work is because Jaskier is, like I said, a womanizer at his heart. Hell, there's an entire quest in Witcher 3 where you have to go around talking to multiple women that Jaskier has slept with in order to find him. The guy is literally the fantasy version of Quagmire from Family Guy. As if that wasn't character assassination enough, it turns out Netflix decided Jaskier couldn't just have a new made-up love interest. But it had to be someone that fans would recognize, so in their infinite wisdom, Netflix decided to make Jaskier fall for Radovid of all people. But here's the thing, at this point in the story, book-wise anyway, Radovid is a child. Like a literal pre-puberty baby boy, but here he's fully grown and ready to mount Jaskier like a unicorn. Nothing about this romance feels natural or accurate. They literally bended the laws of the lore to such a degree that they not only character assassinated Jaskier, they rapidly aged up Radovid so they could resize each other's holes for woke points. It's such a classic Netflix move, but good God is it still awful. And as I was making this video, Variety published a new article detailing The Witcher's performance this season, with the new season still holding on to the top spot even though it's doing worse than before. So far, Witcher Season 3 has collected about 66.5 million hours viewed, which when cut down into views overall, it means so far the entire season has collected almost 14 million views in total as of the making of this video. Mind you, this was over almost 2 weeks since its debut, so 66.5 million hours sounds impressive, I know, but when you compare it to Season 2, it gets far less impressive. To put into perspective how much of a drop this is, Season 2 within its debut weekend managed to get 142.43 million hours of watch time. Again, that's not over the course of 2 weeks. This is one single weekend. Which means if you compare it all, Season 3 is currently at a 48% drop in overall performance when you compare it to Season 2. And while defenders could argue there's less hours because there's less episodes in total available for Season 3 as of right now, this still doesn't change the fact that the show is just not doing nearly as well as it used to. And to show you how badly the brand's been hurt by Netflix's moronic decision making, Witcher Blood Origin, which is basically an expensive single season of fanfiction, was only able to get 15.9 million minutes viewed within its first week. Which means even giving Blood Origin an entire week over a single weekend when you compare it to Season 2, Blood Origin was only able to manage roughly 8% of the amount of minutes watched when compared to Season 2.
Bon appetit.
Which is arguably when Witcher was at its peak, regardless of quality anyway. But this doesn't surprise me since Season 3 removed basically all nudity as well, even though The Witcher is a mature series that's meant for adults. Then of course there's the complaints that Geralt is sidelined so much in Season 3 that at times he might as well as not be there to begin with. And according to Redanian intelligence, Yennefer will have even more power and screen time going forward, effectively making The Witcher into a show about everybody besides the actual Witcher himself. Sidelining a male lead in a show named after him? It's not like Hollywood has done that before, right? Although this change of giving Yennefer more screen time may actually be done because within the books, Yen kind of falls off dramatically plot-wise from this point in the books until near the very end. So while this change is obviously not book accurate, but like at this point, what even is book accuracy when it comes to Netflix, let's be real. This change is clearly being done because otherwise Netflix wouldn't just lose Cavill as Geralt, but they'd also lose Anya as Yen, which would be terrible for the show's reputation and popularity, especially due to how dire it all is right now anyway. Then of course we come to the next big what if, which is Liam Hemsworth. Fans are speculating how Netflix will justify changing Geralt's actor, and according to the producers, the change will be lore accurate. There's a popular fan theory that later on in this season, when Part 2 releases, Geralt will face a certain mage in battle that I don't want to say in case you actually plan on watching the series. Anyway, during this fight, Geralt gets his booty kicked so badly that he's basically left broken and left for dead. And he's taken to refuge to be healed by the Dryads of Brokilin. And while this certain evil mage does a number on Geralt and rearranges his face in terms of damage, Redanian intelligence at least believes this won't be how it goes down, with Redanian intelligence stating Geralt will be healed and out of Brokilin by the end of Season 3, so he'll be okay. But this still hasn't stopped the theory that Geralt's face might be changed via magic or a potion he has to drink in order to heal himself. Maybe he has to go through some Witcher ritual again akin to the Trial of the Grasses, and his face changes as a side effect due to the elixirs. I don't know at this point. The point is that Netflix is promising it'll be lore accurate, and so far, based on what Netflix has promised, nothing they've done has been popular when they've deviated from the source material. In fact, almost every complaint I've read from reviews to users, all the problems come not from the source material, but literally everything Netflix adds that they come up with. Which doesn't fill me with confidence at all, especially when Blood Origin proved when the restraints are taken off, Netflix's writers only worsen the lore instead of making it better, so consider me tempered to see how Netflix manages to justify the face swap. Finally, we have more info regarding the next Witcher live-action series, which is called Rats. Anyway, that show, according to Redanian Intelligence, had its first season cut shorter than expected. What's weirding people out is that Rats is meant to be an 8-episode series and was supposed to film for roughly 6 months. But now the entire series has been shot and finished in just 2 months, which is really odd. And we know it's done too, since there have been leaked images of production, and one shows the farewell message of Rats, which is codenamed Riff Raff, during production. At this point, it's speculated Rats either got cut shorter down to maybe 3 or 4 episodes, or it's been turned into a Netflix original movie and will just be your standard 2-hour fare, and that's it. Regardless, it seems like Netflix knows the writing is on the wall for the franchise under their ownership, and Rats has likely been reduced to save money as interest is clearly already dwindling as it is. Although I guess a glimmer of hope was slightly rekindled since Season 1 and 2 of Witcher did get a boost of roughly 2.5 million views once Season 3 launched. But will it be enough to hold Season 3 until July 27th when the 3 final episodes air? Time will tell. But as it stands right now, The Witcher is on shaky ground across the board, it seems. Rats has a reduced episode count, and I would genuinely be surprised if Blood Origin ever got mentioned again in any capacity, which is unlikely if I'm being real. And even in terms of games, CD Projekt Red's already running into trouble when it comes to future Witcher games. Back in late March, it was announced the multiplayer-like Witcher game from indie dev The Molasses Flood was already being rebooted. That new Witcher game was being reassessed by upper management, and apparently CD wanted to stop that multiplayer Witcher game's development early, so that they didn't run into another money sink situation like they had with Cyberpunk. But the news gets worse for that same multiplayer game since it's likely still in development hell. In late May, CD Projekt laid off 29 employees from the same dev studio that was making that game. Remember, that game had roughly 60 plus people working on it, so to have 29 of those alleged 60-ish devs get laid off, yeah, it's not a good sign at all. Also, of those 60 plus devs, according to LinkedIn, about 50 of them were exclusively tied to Molasses. So that means CD laid off basically more than half of the entire studio at this point. But I guess we'll see, as Witcher as a franchise has a very rocky future from all angles, it seems. The live-action show is condemned, the multiplayer game is in hell, burning alive, but at least there's a planned new trilogy of games coming and a remake of the original game too. But of course, you gotta temper yourself since when it comes to CD, these things are always up to change. Hopefully it all works out, but for now, yeah, Witcher is in a really weird place in terms of multimedia. And don't even get me started on how ESG has infiltrated CD Projekt Red, because I will turn Super Saiyan if I start talking about how messed up that is. Anyway, that's enough for now, I think. Let me know what you think as always, but as it stands, yeah, The Witcher's potential has been astronomically fumbled, and that's not even hyperbole at this point. Thank you for watching, let me know what you think as always, and like the video to help the channel out, subscribe to keep up to date, have a great day, I'll see you in the next one.